Computer. This recording's in progress.
Recordings in progress. Just a sec. This mic is do. Standing up.
I guess I'd get closer if I wanted to. It's not a terrible idea. Where's my
Well, then the
volume
microphone
cranked?
might find out that you're human.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. We don't want the mic to know things.
No.
Hmm.
Deception.
Yes. Bleh. I assume that trivia is prepared.
Yeah, I got trivia.
Okay.
This is your story, right? I hope it was.
Correct. I wrote a
Okay.
story.
Good. Well, if you didn't, then
Then I'd do
you
one
know,
later, wouldn't
that's-
I? But I did one. I
or
mean, it's
I
not
would have
long.
done one later if I was wrong on it.
Mm.
Anyway, all right. Fuck. Let me. God, I should have written this down how I wanted to do this.
Mm.
Uh, fuck. I'll just wing it.
You just wing it.
All right. Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast that you think is about Space 1999, but then you come closer and you realize that it was podcast about Planet of the Apes that was wearing the shroud of rough skin that was tricking you into thinking it was about Space 1999.
I have been the deceptioning you, as I am actually a blind female chimpanzee, and you didn't know this the whole time.
Oh no, we can never be together.
Right. It is the deception. We've been deceived in so many ways.
Yep.
Does this episode deceive you?
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be good.
And no,
Mm,
not on the bandwagon with this one.
no, this is pretty bad.
I
Uh,
think the
it
one issue is like last week in The Surgeon, we had what Kyra, who was well acted, whereas this week we have Fauna, who maybe
is
isn't so
not.
good.
Not good also is given like the most contrived stupid like TV drama whatever setup, and there isn't really the conclusion isn't particularly satisfying, and it's all kind of
No.
thrown together as a big mess. And
And then the rest of it
uh
is Galen hanging out with like the clan or something.
yeah, exactly. It's basically Black Klansman, but but I don't feel like anybody really learned anything except for there was kind of like the half-ass Rashomon at the end,
I
kind
felt
of.
like the message of this episode was super heavy-handed. But at the same time, you couldn't quite work out what it was.
It it wasn't like a bad message, and I get what they were trying to do, but it just didn't really work. It was like and I don't know how you would really do like the point of the clan, at least during our lifetimes, is that they have to operate in secret, but I'm pretty sure in this society you could just take humans and just throw them off cliff. Nobody cares. Like,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I don't think there are like trials if you do bad things to humans.
No, no, no. I mean that this has the only good human is a dead human. People shouting that at the top of their lungs, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, even though humans have arguably less power than any, I can't even think of a good example. Like I guess it's not as much like human slavery because you can kind of be free humans in this world, but, you know, but at the
it's kind
same
of
time, it's like they don't have any rights at all. It's not
yeah,
like
it's
you
it's the
have
weird chop
rights.
of the show, right? That we can't go full movie humans, right? Where they because you need characters that can talk and, evolve the story and that sort of thing, right? Um,
But it's like they aren't treated any better than the humans who can't talk. Just because they can, it doesn't really matter if they could talk. They only talk for the benefit of the show is less boring with talking humans than it would be with untalking mute humans.
yeah, but that's you can't make a episodic show with that, I guess is the point, right?
You can,
Yeah,
but
but it would be a lot harder. Well, they'd have to double down on the apes, wouldn't they?
yep,
Which
or
we saw that in the
just
good
lots
seeds,
of
where they
mimes.
in the good seeds, it seemed like they were kind of thinking about it, but that just didn't end up. That was the first in production, right? Which this is not. So I guess that leads into your trivia.
But yeah, it's basically, what's a, I don't know, a mute human isn't really that much more interesting or more or less interesting than a blind ape.
Well, Nova was such an issue in the original movies, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
they didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah, that was sort of like a better character in the book than in the movie, but anyway, because in the book, I think I went into this previous trivia, but in the book, it's like the first thing that they do when they meet Nova is she strangles the pet chimp they brought with them to death.
How rude. I guess you don't
Well, I
bring a
mean, you're
pet chimp to the
scared,
Planet of the
right?
Apes with you, yeah.
Well, you're scared because apes, like chimps, have like whatever subjugated you your whole life. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, not subjugated is this trivia. You gave me a great segue and then I just like ruined it. Anyway, this is the eighth episode aired and the 10th in production order. Don McDougal is back to direct. You might remember him from The Gladiators and Tomorrow's Tide. And this is his final episode of the series. Anthony Lawrence gets the writing credit, born in 1928 in Hollywood. He was a mostly TV writer, but this does include some TV movies, most notably 1979's Elvis, which starred Kurt Russell and was directed by John Carpenter, and 1988's Liberace, which starred Andrew Robinson, who would later play Garrick on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I could totally see Garrick as Liberace. It makes almost too much sense. Um, he also directed one episode of 80s Twilight Zone. He retired in the mid 90s, but made it into his mid 90s, passing away in 2024. This is his only writing credit on Planet of the Apes. John Milford is back on the show as Cestus. You probably remember him as Miller from The Trap. He has, of course, now been promoted to Gorilla. Jane Achtman is here as Fauna. Born in 1949 in New York City, she was a mostly TV actor who's about 5 years into her career at this point and about 5 years away from retirement. You can see her on Wonder Woman, The Paul Lynde Show, and Hawaii Five-O. She passed away in 2018. Pat Ranella plays Zahn. He was born in Chicago in 1929. He started his career as a nightclub singer, and when he transitioned to acting, he mostly played gangsters or henchmen. You could see him in Bullet, Cannon, The Silencers, and Combat! Exclamation point. This is actually his second appearance on Planet of the Apes. His first was in The Gladiators as Matt's favorite character, Jason the Gorilla.
Yay.
He was not billed high enough to get in the trivia, but now he is. Hal Baylor is here as Jasco. Born in San Antonio in 1918, he fought in World War II, fought as a professional boxer, and then fought his way into a long career as an actor with almost 200 credits. You can see him in two episodes of Star Trek. That would be City on the Edge of Forever and Elan of Troyes. I hope I pronounced that right.
One of those is
Uh,
better than the others. I can vouch
I
for.
don't think I've seen that one. He was also in The Sands of Iwo Jima, Emperor of the North, and Quick Before It Melts. He retired in the late 70s but made it long enough to see 1998. Finally, as Perdix, we have Baines Barron, born in 1917 in New York City. He had a long career in both cinema and TV that stretched from the 40s until the late 70s. This is his third from last credit, but you could see him in Wild in the Streets, From Hell It Came, North by Northwest, and The Ten Commandments. His final credit was in 1979's Chomps, and he passed away in 1982. You see Chomps?
I haven't seen Chomps. What is that? Frogs?
The dog that's a robot, and they yell like numbers that tell the dog what to do.
Which number
They're like,
kills? Which number is for killing?
I think it was 17. I
Okay.
know it's been a while.
What if you tell the dog 69? What does the dog do?
I think it goes and finds another dog and does something to it.
Um, but that's not what happens in this story. We don't even get dogs this week, do we?
Not that I could see.
No strays in this episode. Okay, what do we got though? Humans have been accused of murdering local chimpanzee Lucian. The Dragoons, an ape lynch mob, is on the prowl, and the only good human is a dead human. Galen infiltrates the Dragoons while Pete and Alan hang out with Fauna, Lucian's daughter. She is deeply prejudiced against humans, but she is also blind and believes the two are actually apes. In fact, she starts to fall in love with Pete. Galen discovers that Dragoon apes actually murdered Lucian in a power grab, and Fauna discovers that Pete is a human. Our heroes are basically run out of town on a rail. I guess that's not quite true, but they're probably not welcome back. They burned their bridge to this ape town.
Hmm. Well, yep. I mean, they just kind of said, "I have to go," and then they left. I don't know if they were really run. They were
Well,
just
the
like,
one
"We
guy is
need."
screaming, kill them," and everyone just kind of staring and blankly for a minute or two. That's kind of a fun scene,
Yep,
actually.
yep. Well, Chomps is directed by Don Chaffee. Why do I remember that name? He was in something that we did.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. You're stuck in the land of Chomp still, are you?
I'm
Okay.
stuck in the land of trivia, unfortunately, which is a bad place to be. Oh, he directed Prisoner episodes.
Oh,
That's what it
there
was.
we go. Okay. Yeah. Again, they're still hanging out by the shore, which seems like a really stupid idea in their situation because they're
I
all
don't know if is there a good place to be here? It's almost like they should just try and start a civilization. They should just start a village somewhere because that's what everybody else is doing.
inland, probably. They should do it inland. Yeah, I mean, they could get away with
Yeah.
that too. I mean, people would barely notice at this point, you know? They're
Find somewhere like off the beaten path and then start setting up like garrisons or something and get the guns ready and stuff.
Mr. Garrisons.
Yeah, start the Mr. Garrisons.
Um, let's see. What do we got in here? I didn't write too many quotes. Of course, I had to write "I am the law." That's always a good quote. And
Yep,
anyone who
another I
says
am
that,
the law.
yeah, anyone who says that should probably get whacked in the head. But whatever.
Yeah, Judge Dredd is satire, if anyone's wondering.
100 humans for every apes. That's like a surf song, right? 100 humans for every ape, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough that this episode was kind of stupid, but it was also really kind of a downer. It's like a constant reminder that everyone lives in hell in this
Yeah, and they're
show.
just gaslighting the hell out of that lady ape.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like
like she doesn't have it bad enough.
this episode has actual like sitcom setups, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, that whole thing where it's like, whoa, I don't know. No, 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 I don't know. We have some banned books. No, don't touch my face. You know, it's just like this like you're constantly just trying to trick the blind lady.
Super lame
Whoa.
excuses. Although she's doing better in Robin Burgundy did in Anchorman 2, being blind. So
All they really have to do is just walk away, right?
yeah. Yeah, just walk away. Yeah,
Just
because this
walk
isn't their
away.
business. This isn't even really their business, is it? Why are they
No.
stuck in this?
I
It's like they're actually like following the episodic format of the show. Like, well, we're in the town this week. We got to do something. We can't just leave, you know?
Yet almost immediately when they're in her house, it's like, oh, it's my uncle's back. My uncle who I think everyone understands immediately that he lied about humans killing killing his
Yeah,
brother.
that was a big reveal at the end of the episode.
Did how long did you believe that it was humans at the beginning?
Well, I thought it was going
Like
to wrap
honestly?
around and be like they were going to be accused, like Alan and Paul were going to be accused of killing the chimp, right? Which
Well,
that's not
that
even the case.
at the very, very, very beginning, I was like, oh, maybe this is one of the random like gorillas who they had to kill to get by. And that would be kind of
That
cool,
would have
but they
made
just
sense.
did not have the guts to do that. And also, there's no continuity in this because it's 70s TV.
Right.
But you know,
But yeah, it is kind of like yeah, you could remove them from the episode and things. Well, maybe the guy doesn't get revealed, but like you said, everyone should already know that, including the blind.
yes, I mean, yeah, even if you're blind, you should know that humans are just have no power in the society, and probably like if they killed someone, that is because they were like almost stomped to death by a gorilla.
I know the killers are. They're that band from Las Vegas, right?
Sure, I mean, I didn't know they were from Las Vegas, but that makes sense because they sound like they're from Las Vegas.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
think
listeners, if you like that band and you think that I'm insulting them by saying they sound like they're from Las Vegas.
no, I think they're like the definitive like from Las Vegas band. I'm not sure if I know. Do you know a band from Las Vegas? It's not really a music city, you know?
Wayne Newton, I don't know.
Well, people go to Vegas, but I'm talking about bands that like or musicians that come from Vegas.
uh,
There is an actual city there, right? You know, so
yep, there sure is. I've never been because I'm afraid that I would have a gambling problem because I have problems where like I'll just play Tetris for an hour and be late
I
to
was in
things.
Vegas one night. That was to do Star Trek The Experience mostly, but I said I'd only spend
Mhm.
$20 gambling, and I got bored after $8 and spent the other 12 on martinis, which are cheap in Vegas.
Yeah, I would have gone to Trek the Experience if I knew it existed, but I did not until you started talking about it in like 2024.
Oops.
There's a pinball museum there pretty cool. So yeah, I've been thinking about it a little more lately, but um bands from Vegas that I've heard of, The Crystal Method,
Okay.
Five Finger Death Punch, Goat Lord. Actually, I haven't heard from of them, but I just wanted to say Goat Lord.
Right.
Yeah, the Killers
Anyway, I
are
feel
from there.
yeah, like,
Slaughter.
they're pretty. I feel like they're the best known of what you just said.
Literally Wikipedia 26 pages for bands from Vegas. That's not very many.
Hmm. Right. That's my whole point. There's not a whole lot of bands coming out of Vegas. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. In this episode, yeah, it's kind of like there's so many silly setups in here. It's like, what do you talk about exactly? So we got the uncle showing up. That's sitcom setup number one.
Hmm.
Uh, then we got the face. Well, then we tell her that they're apes, which is dumb setup number two. Then she has to feel faces. That's dumb setup number three.
Yep.
And then there's another one later when Galen's not around to give his face. You know, what is he at that point? Oh, I got a rash or something. Stay away.
Yeah. Um, I mean, Galen does. I am getting quite fond of just watching Galen just infiltrate everything.
He's
It's
getting better at
I
BSing though. That's a through line through this series that Galen gets better at BSing.
I was like genuinely surprised that he seemed disappointed that he was supposed to. I thought by now he'd be like into it, but I guess maybe he has to know that at some point he's just gonna get killed doing this stuff if he keeps
I
doing it
gotta
every single
infiltrate
week.
the Ape KK this week.
Yeah, the ape KK, the ape ux. I don't know.
Oh hum. Yeah,
Yeah, it
we don't get Urko in this one. He just gets name checked. It's
no.
because we got what Cestus has to be the screaming gorilla in this one, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Cestus is kind of like budget Urko. Like his voice even kind of sounds like Urko's voice.
That's why I was like at the end, I was like, that was such an Urko like performance. That is the thing with the masks, like, since they're sometimes it is hard to tell if it's a new actor or not, you know?
Yeah.
Like the late Fauna in this episode, I mean she basically looks like Kyra last week, right? A different actor, but it's just the same, basic application, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Like all the gorilla, all am I sounding like offensive? All the gorillas look the same. All the chimpanzees look the same.
Um, I'm I'm kind of surprised that Galen has been able to. You'd think that at some point somebody would be like, "Hey, I recognize you," since we have seen, Urko travels in these. Like everybody knows who Urko and Zayas are apparently, so it's not like this is a huge social circle. So
Well,
it's
yeah, but
kind of like
that's like
maybe they do all look the same.
that's like a celebrity general, and in the Zaius is what, like the president of Apeland?
I guess.
It's kind of hard because he's like, is he a scientist or a politician? Well, I guess the whole thing with Zaius is he's always a bit of both, regardless of which one we're talking about.
He's a mayor or something or
Pete,
governor.
Pete in this
He's
episode, he's got to like awkwardly break up with someone that he's not even dating. That sucks.
Well, maybe there's like have we seen a sort of a love interest for one of the humans in almost every episode at this point?
Yeah, I guess. Although they don't get that involved most of the time, right? Like in the Legacy, like he doesn't get that involved with that lady.
Yeah, and he doesn't really get involved with the lady in the what was that? The I'm just gonna mumble the Jackie Earl Haley one.
Yeah, that's the Legacy. That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about. So,
okay. Yeah, I guess I forgot what it was called because that's not a great name for that episode.
no, it's not. But yeah. And then you mix it with a trap because it's in cities. This episode uses some.
Yeah.
Does it? It actually uses some Ape City sets. I think they were did some new shooting on the sets, and they. When did they take those things down?
Feels like I don't know, but it felt kind of to me like they ran out of sets in this episode. Like it felt like too. It felt like Planet of the Apes, but it didn't feel like.
Well, that's what I'm asking about when they specifically tore down. Or is Ape City still there? I don't remember. Anyway, because it looked kind of like the from the original movie, but kind of worn down.
Yeah.
Like it's been sitting there a few years, as would have been the case, you know?
Yeah, this is 10 in production order, so like uh
I'm talking about sets from the original movie. I was wondering if they,
yeah.
took a bus down to Ape Town and film. It's
I,
like how you can go film your own little Star Wars thing if you go to Tunisia. The building's still there, right?
yeah, I mean, is it Star Wars where George Lucas won't take down your fan films?
That was
Like he won't
Trek for
sue
a
you?
while.
Hmm.
Star Trek you could make. I mean, they had fan series, and then when CBS or whatever, whoever started making Trek again a few years ago, they're like, you can't make a series anymore. Like if you make one thing, that's fine, but if you try and make it a series, what they'll take you down.
Well, there was kind of too much of that stuff anyway. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I'm sure that there's a guide somewhere that's like watch these Trek fan films and they're the best ones, but
Mm.
man, there is a lot. There are a lot of them because there were so many years where there was no
Because they
Star Trek.
weren't bothering those people
They
for until they started making Trek, actively started making Trek again. So, I mean, the movies
well,
I don't think really
it's
bothered them, but yeah,
no. It's
watch
yeah,
them on
there was
TV
no
and
Star Trek series from basically the entire time when people started having phones and their cameras on their phones.
yeah.
So like that, naturally that's what happened. Yeah, there's nothing in the trivia about the sets or anything like that. So I don't I have no idea. I would think this, you know, this is the 10th episode, so like
Yeah.
they're probably tore down something at this point.
What do you think is the message of this episode? I was like, so far this episode seems to really be pushing social commentary, but it's so ape related, it's barely resonant. Aliens is it's a reflection of humans, but here it just doesn't make sense.
I think it's like racism is bad, but it's like very like killing, like wanting to kill the people you're racist against on sight, no matter what they did, is bad, which is like kind of obvious, I think.
I guess in the
Um,
setup of the show, though, it's like that's like breaking it down to the microcosm in one episode doesn't make sense because that's the main conceit of the entire show, right? So there's no reason to really
yeah.
push that button so hard in this episode. Maybe that's it. It's like that's the basic premise. So it's like focusing on their basic premise again. Like we don't need that in episode 8 or 10.
Yeah, like the dragoons seem like they're pretty much indefensible, except that they have a line where if it turns out that if the humans hold them at gunpoint and force them to figure out that it wasn't humans who murdered an ape that one time, then they won't just kill any human that shows up in front of them. But like
Mob mentality, though, I don't think everyone's
yeah,
mind would have just changed like that. I think they would have just kept on, with the inertia of hatred or something.
but I mean the dumbness of this started at the very beginning where like I took this down specifically because they set fire to that guy's house and he's like, "This is my home." And they say, "Then watch it burn." And as they ride off, they say, "Let this be a lesson to all humans." And it's like the lesson is I'm going to set your house on fire.
Yes. That's what it's like to be a human in this world. Apes will just set your stuff on fire, man.
That's
Just
what you get.
human dystopia. Human dystopia. Fine for the apes. They like setting things on fire.
But it's like, yeah, it's like, what consequence is there for that? Like none of the stuff that happens at the end is going to bring that guy's burnt house back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they don't have a central government of any strength. Like the Urko Zeus thing seems to at least be a figurehead government, but they don't seem to have much actual power once you get out of the main city.
This is why I keep saying that they live in hell and it's a horrible place and it's a dystopia. Because like imagine if you're an ape with like a just regular problem. Like what can you do if a human shoots your uncle? Kill a bunch of humans? It's like,
Well, yeah.
You don't get anything.
Frontier
You can't
justice,
sue.
man. But then
Yeah.
there's the whole thing. Keep in mind the original movie, like taking out humans, it's like pests, right? It's like they have rabbits, and you gotta get rid of the rabbits, and that's where again the series it gets a little convoluted because you definitely can't just be like, oh, the humans are just like rabbits getting in your stuff, right?
Yeah. I
They can
mean,
talk to you now. Rabbits can't talk to you most of the time.
it's pretty if you if you extrapolate the idea that humans don't talk because apes just got annoyed with all of them and killed most of them except maybe the ones who can't talk. Like that's not fun. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. It's not fun and it's kind of depressing and not particularly interesting either.
Yeah,
It just feels like it feels like we're watching the extermination of talking humans because sometimes apes just blame things on them.
right.
It's
Apes have
like,
not.
hey, Black Lives Matter. I don't know.
I'm also thinking the apes have not developed any sort of braille system because Fauna is like, tell me about all the books you've read, which is I don't think I'd like someone to describe a book to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird it's a weird thing where it's like when he's kind of drawing her in, he's like, "Let me tell you about Robinson Crusoe," and then when he's trying to let her down easy, he's like, "Let me tell you about the Bible."
Apinson Caruso. I gotta make change everything 3 degrees to make it more apey.
It's like, but he didn't even really try that hard. It's just like he just throws Robinson Crusoe out there for the benefit of us, the audience. But they just could have just as easily just made up a story for him to tell if they were going to leave have him read one sentence of it.
They could have made some sci-fi future story, but I guess they didn't leave Earth that far in the future. It's what 1980 is that what it says at the beginning of the show?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when they left from, but
It's like
the
the rule of
future.
threes where you give two real references and one sci-fi reference or something. We were missing the sci-fi reference.
It's painful the optimism of how people in that time period genuinely thought, well, by 1980 or 1999, we'll just have space travel through to
Yeah,
time.
1987, the last of NASA's deep space missions. The last, for
Yep.
Buck Rogers. But they weren't even
Yep.
getting started in 87, so
Nope. And it looks like now they'll probably be completely defunded and dismantled and replaced by a agency that's named to deliberately sound like space sex.
ooh. Is that why it's called that? Okay.
Yep.
I never worked that out.
Space sex.
Space. Okay, I see what you're.
Do you remember the time they delayed a launch for like a week or two so that it could launch at 4:20 p.m.?
Nope.
That happened.
Okay. I
Anyway,
guess I was not paying that much attention, but yeah.
anyway, uh, anyway,
You want the ape space? Mm. Well,
yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
the clan, for some reason, has to operate at night here.
That makes sense. Well, yeah.
I
Also, it
mean,
makes them seem bigger, right? If it's at night. Because if
I
it's on
suppose.
broad daylight, it'll just look like a gaggle of five apes with bags. Well, not even apes.
Well,
They got bags on their head.
but it is funny that Galen was like, "Let's go get him at night," and then they're like, "At night, we won't be able to see. Let's just do it in the morning." So it's like they really didn't have. They really don't operate at night. It's sort of like I don't.
Yeah, they burned
I,
that dude's house down in the middle of the day.
it's one of those things. It's only for us, the audience, and it makes no sense like that they would have to conceal their identity. Like there's no justice in this society. We only get a little bit of justice at the end for the benefit of us, the audience, or just to wrap things up neatly.
Maybe that's where you get so much dystopia that we don't see any ape police. It's just guerrilla soldiers, right? It's just the
Yeah,
stormtroopers. So,
yeah. It's just you have to have faith that somebody like Cestus will own up to his lies that already cost at least one person their house and probably some human lives. I don't
we
know.
do see like the official ape flag again because we saw the official ape flag,
Hmm.
and then like a week later we saw that guy that basically had made his own flag that he put himself on. But now we're back
Yeah,
to the kind of the national ape flag. So that I guess that just means that guy was like more of a maniac than we even figured.
yeah. I hope so.
See, that's the
Yep.
difference in that episode. That guy was a maniac and it was fun, right? in Tomorrow's Tide,
Yeah,
was it? Whereas this guy just sucks, or this ape just sucks.
yeah, but unfortunately, this cast is very B team this week. That's part of the issue, but also they're not given a whole lot. So,
No, no, they're not getting a lot.
uh,
The only person who gets anything to do in this is Roddy, who does run within this episode. Because
yeah.
I still remember saying several ago there was one episode where he left me cold, but this is another one where he seems to be he's the MVP of this one. He's the most watchable thing about this one, you know? I mean, all those
Yes.
blind fauna scenes just ooh, you're like, please end. This is uncomfortable.
Well, and Alan does get like a fun fight scene with which gorilla was that? Perthernax, whatever, one of those
Sure.
guys. I just said the name of the dragon from Skyrim.
Perdix.
Perdix, yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
I thought that was funny that they had to change their names from Alan and Peter. It's like, who cares? Just say they're Alan and
yeah,
Peter. It doesn't matter. Instead of
Galen is
Aular and
famous.
Pargo. Yeah,
Yeah,
Galen. It's like, that's the only one that makes sense because, like you said, they might be like, oh, I've heard of a Galen. But I mean, Pete and Alan, who cares? I mean, they sound like normal names to us, but they might just, yeah, an A plan, they'll just like be names, right?
I think this could have been. I guess there are a lot of ways to fix this. It could have been really fun if it was specifically Urko shows up and is specifically heard humans killed someone and he started just spreading rumors that it definitely was Pete and Alan. You know what I mean? Like
That would
just
have
out of
been
pure spite.
that would have been a better episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought it was gonna go, but yeah, they're just sort of able to hide in plain sight because everyone's kind of stupid and or blind, literally.
Right. Well, I guess let's start throwing some questions on this one.
All
Existential
right.
dread versus sci-fi fun.
Well, this has to be, I don't know, it has to be 95. Okay, look, I'm gonna say it is 30% dread and 5% fun. That's it. It's just 35% of an episode.
Okay. Oh,
It's
okay.
mostly dread. It's
I was
mostly
trying.
dread, but there just isn't that much of anything in this, really.
Yeah, because I was saying they're 20%. I was going to go 20% dread, and then I was like, well, it's not really 80% fun. Anything fun in this episode can basically be had in a different episode.
But what's the best outcome? It's like you know, fun would like the Fauna has like no hope for anything working out for her. It's like she's not gonna run away with Pete or anything. You know what I mean? There's
No,
no
we see a
there.
doll character get gaslit and then end with like no particularly interesting options.
Yeah, there's the only good that could come of this is that them just getting away again. So it's like this episode might as well not have happened.
You don't sympathize, and then like yeah, nothing good happens either. There's
I guess
no.
the best thing is they're not going to burn any more houses down today.
I was about to say today maybe not, tomorrow why not? You know, I mean, again, these guys like if Alan and Pete and Galen want to hang around a little bit longer, they're probably going to get shot tomorrow. You know,
Yeah, yeah, just like every episode where they have to get away even though they've made friends with people.
right? Because some guys just like I'll kill you still, shoot them.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, like tomorrow's tide, we just did the ending better, I guess. But yeah, yeah,
yeah.
there's not much dread and there's not much fun, I guess. So it's hard to add up to 100% as you're saying. 35% of an episode. I guess it's yeah.
Yep.
It's I guess it's the worst one so far. Was there any others that came close? Because the good
This is
seeds,
an
good
easy
seeds was a
worst.
little draggy, but the family was fun and well acted. You know.
Yeah, and there was like the weird cow stuff. Like
Oh yeah, that was
just the
fun.
weird cow stuff. Yeah, they were a genuinely weird family, but this is just like a blind person from a soap opera who's like who has a tragic story, but it doesn't really amount to anything. Like I don't know. It's almost like it would have been better episode if she just died when she fell off the cliff because that would have felt like there were stakes
Mm.
other than that guy's house.
But then that would have felt wrong too. Again, the point
Yeah,
is
it
you're
wouldn't
just
have.
here as a
I mean, it
character,
would
and
have.
that the episode hinges that she be sympathetic, and it's just like a big blah, you know, a big I don't care.
Yeah, she learned to. I mean, I wish that she'd learned that she should not just trust people when they say that they're apes. Like that might be the real lesson is like don't be um so trusting.
Gaslightable, yes.
Yeah, gaslightable.
She's an oven.
Uh,
Boom.
she is pilot light.
How many bananas do you want to give this?
I'm gonna give it two bananas, but you can't see them.
Okay, I'm giving it a choco banana, but I'm not giving it to him. I'm keeping it to myself and eating it.
Good,
Chocolate covered
good,
banana for myself. That's what I want.
good idea.
Yeah. So withholding
Yeah.
bananas. I'll tell them they're getting the banana, but then I'm gonna deceive them. I will the deception them.
I'll say- well, to the series credit, this is even though this is kind of like the most major whiff. This is probably still kind of the quality I expected from the series, and it's still been fun to talk about this one. So at least it's like if it, I guess if it makes a good podcast episode, like some of the Space 1999 episodes that were incredibly stupid, then nothing,
Yeah,
no
I mean,
harm, no
when we
foul.
do this kind of episode, I feel kind of bad because we're just like raking over the coals. I'm like, well, we didn't rake
Yeah,
over the coals last week or the week before that, so I guess this one just
yeah,
deserves it a little more. And hey, maybe someone
yeah.
loves this one, you know? Um,
It's rated 7.0 on IMDb. That's not particularly bad, but I think it's rated higher than a couple that we've watched. But it also makes me feel bad when I do the trivia and it's like everyone who made this is dead now except for
mm.
like one of our humans. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember which
Tomorrow's
one.
Tide, which we were putting in saying was better, is 6.6 on IMDb. Huh.
Yeah, I mean that one
That's the only
wasn't
one. That's the only
spectacular or
one.
anything, but still.
That is the only one rated lower than the Deception, even though it says top rated. But whatever. And then next week's horse race is 6.9. But speaking
Yeah.
of the
Well,
69s, um,
this is rated the same as the Gladiators and the Legacy and the Surgeon, which
I mean, there are
weird.
basically all of these episodes seem to have pretty much the same rating. They're all between like 6.6
Yeah.
and 7.3, which is basically statistically the same, right?
And they all have between like 250 and 300 something ratings. So it's probably just the same 250 people, which hopefully are all listening to this podcast,
That's right.
unless they're dead,
Mm. Do
like
dead
everyone
people
who
listen
made
to our
the episode.
podcasts? Hmm.
I mean, dead people could have rated a 50-year-old show on IMDb.
Dead men tell no podcasts.
Maybe they rated it in like 2005 and then died while
Uh,
rating it.
oh, right. So they
This
were going to give
is
it a 7.5,
a
but they only got it a
seven.
7.0. They died before they could give it that last point 0.5.
No, I wasn't saying they died in the middle of rating it, but I mean they could have died between then and now. I don't know. Maybe
Like, I'm going to give it
maybe
a
all.
7 point, and then that's where they die. So it doesn't get that decimal point.
I mean, when did IMDb come out?
Oh, I remember. It, I think I've been hanging out in IMDb since 97, 99. It's been around for a while.
1990. Technically, it started as a on the Usenet as 1990, then
Okay.
moved to the web in 1993. So it's been on the internet longer than I've been using the internet, which
Right.
is something because I've been on the internet since 1994.
No, I do remember because the first time I saw like a tricked out website, like themed, like Google does it every day now, right? But the
Mhm.
first time I was like, "Whoa, this is weird, it's crazy." It was when they Flubber themed IMDb for the
Oh,
release of Flubber.
wow. Flubber, huh?
Well, it's just because they made the site all like green and it had like a little animated blob going around or something. That was the Flubber, I guess. I don't remember. This was 20,
Was
almost
that
30 years
Robin
ago. Oh,
Williams?
that's yes, Robert Williams Flubber.
Yeah.
A
That's
movie that's
5.3.
it's not good and it's basically been justly forgotten. So
It's funny because under the section with photos, there are just there's a poster that's kind of hastily photoshopped with Robin Williams looking like he just exploded. It's all green, holding like a crappy green alien. But there are literally like nine different versions of that same poster as the photos.
oh, it was a major release. Lots. I mean, again, they tricked out the website for it. So, they were like, here's the big new thing, Robin Williams Flubber. And
Yeah.
I think it was even somewhat successful. But yeah, it's just a bland, weird, dumb movie. Kind
I
is
think
it's
people who love Flubber just scanned multiple different versions of the DVD
I
into
did like the
photos.
absent-minded professor when I was a kid, but I did,
Is
so
that Fred
I was
McMurray?
yes, so I was excited about the Flubber remake, or Flubber's basically a remake of that, right? So I was excited about it and disappointed. So
I think that really, because the Nutty Professor is like Eddie Murphy, right? Like, I wish
yes.
that they'd done a cinematic universe with the different professors, which I guess
Hmm.
they only have two, the Nutty Professor and the Absent-Minded Professor. Were there more professors?
You could add Doc Brown in, I suppose.
Yeah, sure, he'd do that.
Well, I guess we'll wind this one down today because we're now in a deep discussion of Flubber. But if you
Well,
wanna,
that's the good thing about Flubber is you can just go as deep as you want.
if you would like to hear us not talk about Flubber, head to podcastio.org, where we do lots of non-Flubber podcasting. Time Enough Podcast. We do the Twilight Zone, Films and Filth. We look at really high and really low rated movies on IMDb. You can hear Luke Loves Pokemon. You can hear the Game Show. You can hear Monster Mash. All that there. Patreon. It's also Podcastio, Podcastius. And Blue Sky, podcast, is it? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
reasonably coherent rant this time, not like last time when I went off the rails.
I searched IMDb for Professor, and one of the results is Mr. Holland's Opus. So I think Mr. Holland should be in the Professor
Yeah.
Professor League of Professors. Yes.
And Dr. Zaius,
Yep.
he gets in there
Um,
too. There we go. Just to wrap it back around, Dr. Zaius will be part of the professorship.
but the
Professor.
question is, who are they going up against? Who are they who are they dealing with?
Oh, what would professors have to deal with? String theory? They're all going up against string
Yeah.
theory. But string
Yep.
theory is like
Sounds
a
good.
kaiju now.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's just like they're just like in front of a giant chalkboard trying to figure out string theory.
Yeah, and then the chalkboard starts to try and eat them and stuff. So,
Yeah. In the end,
okay.
the Christian God comes out of the sky and just crushes all of them.
The deceptions them, yes.
Yep.
I just
I
wanted to use
didn't
the
know where to end
deception.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
that's
want to use
good.
the deception as a verb itself as many times as possible, you know?
Yeah, I was really having a hard time knowing where to take that. Um, but that was actually a thought I'd had recently, so I just wanted to put it on a podcast so I'd stop thinking about it.
Right. What, your professors?
Yeah, the professor
Okay.
thing.
It's a little bit like the C thing. Do you know C? Disney's thing, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers.
No, what's
Oh,
is
look
that
that
like?
shit up. Well, it's retroactively goes back to the Adventurers Club that was at Downtown Disney or whatever,
Hmm.
which was this highly themed. They'd have shows, they had effects and stuff in this restaurant. But
Yeah.
they started really at Tokyo Disney Sea,
Uh-huh. Makes sense.
because the Tower of Terror there is Harrison Hightower, who's like a turn of the century evil industrialist. It's his hotel, and he's a member of C, the Society of Explorers of Adventurers. So, and then they have Magellan's restaurant there, and that's supposed to be connected to C. Mystic Manor in Hong Kong is the owner of Mystic Manor is a C owner or C member. What
Hmm.
else is there? Oh, Big Thunder Mountain is now somebody Bullion that is a C member. So there's this insane like theme park continuity thing they have now.
Captain Nemo. It's
Captain
James
Nemo would
Mason.
be, yeah, he seems like a sea guy, yeah. The sea man.
He's a man of yeah, he is. Seaman on deck.
But yeah, look up Sea. That's some funny stuff. It's because it's really deep and weird and yeah, Society of if you type Disney and Society of Explorers and
Yeah,
Adventurers, you'll get something.
I typed in Disney Sea and it, of course, took me to Disney
Right,
Sea.
that's why you got to type Society of Explorers and Adventurers probably.
Huh, okay. Yeah, Hong Kong Disneyland also.
Mystic Manor,
Something
right?
about it. Adventurelands. Harrison Hightower 3, Henry Mystic, Barnabas Bullion,
Barnabas Bullion, there we go.
Meriwether, Adam Pleasure.
Yeah, huh? Soaring in Tokyo is also sea related. It's the female member of sea one. Yeah. I think even like
The
one of the
the
water slides at Typhoon Lagoon is like weirdly sea themed.
The pilot from Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
what? The
It's a really
hell?
weird, yeah, it's really weird stuff to get into.
I guess like I kind of respect that more than just like retheming another ride to like the Little Mermaid or something, you know? It's like at least they're doing some kind of work here.
Yeah.
It's like cuz
That said, if you're in line with people and you start telling your friends about C, they're gonna think you're an insane idiot, right?
I maybe yeah,
Oh,
but
the other thing,
it's
and when you're in the line for the tower, have you ever seen a ride through anything of the Tokyo Tower of Terror?
I know I have, but it's been just a really long time.
Okay, I mean, it's just really funny because it's lots of paintings of Harrison Hightower and his manservant escaping from Aboriginal people as they're stealing their sacred stuff.
Hmm.
Shows them like a little boat with like a Moai statue or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to stop
Man,
this recording.
okay.